Let's just walk through these two thumbnails that you selected. What stood out to you between these two?
Okay, so the first video of hers that went viral, if I'm not mistaken, was the how to film yourself and look cinematic. So obviously, as a one-man band myself, this is the kind of topic that interests me because I film myself. The problem that I feel when I film myself is when I edit, I feel like my videos are boring as hell. So I was thinking like, how can I film myself and still make it look aesthetically pleasing so the audience won't get bored? This kind of thumbnail is I would say this is the cinematography type of thumbnail, which is there's no text. It's very simple. It's very cinematic, meaning she knows how to play a lot with the lights. So it looks very natural, very cinematic. She put in a lot of thought actually to sit particularly there right in front of the window where the light comes in and hit her face in a certain way. So that represents the cinematic part. So I think this is executed really, really well. And if it's executed really well, you don't even need any text at all.
She does have text in the other one, but it's kind of really small. And I think it's sort of also done on purpose. But if you look at both of the thumbnails, something that I noticed was that the thumbnails have this consistent color between all of them, not just these two. Sort of this like muted green, like you said, filmic look. I don't know if you know of another YouTuber, Ryan Trahan. He does this a lot with like a lot of light blue sky colors, punchy saturated colors. And so when you see his face and then that kind of thumbnail vibe, you sort of know, oh, this is his or her brand.
Correct. Her branding is on point. And when you say the muted colors, they purposely want to make it look a little bit muted because they want it to make it look more natural, because a lot of our cameras, they oversaturate a lot of stuff. So it's not natural. It's very digitalized. Yeah. The second video here, for those who feel like giving up. Okay. I want to talk about this video. If you really watch the video, what she's really talking about, the message in the video is actually targeting YouTubers who to not give up. The message of the video is actually that, right? Don't give up on YouTube. That's her message. She did something clever here. She didn't say don't give up on YouTube because there's only a small percentage of addressable market who cares about that. But what she did instead is says, for those who feel like giving up. So she niched up. She didn't mention anything about YouTube. So a lot of people can feel related to this topic. Does that make sense? So the combination of title and thumbnail works really well. But the way that she's sitting, in my opinion, you feel curious. Like, okay, she's kind of sighing. Maybe she looks like she's about to give up. You know, a lot of us, we want to make ourselves better. We're working on a lot of projects. And most of us, we quit whatever the thing that we're trying to do. So I feel like this really hits the emotion of being a human, right? So this is bang on. This is really emotional, targeting an emotional factor.
Yeah. Even the text in the side that says chasing your dreams, it's so small. Maybe on the mobile, you can't really see it, which kind of breaks the rules that a lot of people say.
But if you know what you're doing, like she can break the rules and make it happen. And I think why it works, you notice that the text in the thumbnail, you never repeat the same thing on the title. So she says, chasing your dreams on the thumbnail, and then for those who feel like giving up. So those two different things, but they kind of complement one another to intrigue you, like, oh, what is she talking about? And then you click.
It's interesting, those thumbnails that get you to ask a question in your head before you get them to click. We can move on to the next one. Lynette Atkins, the secret to content creation. I wish I knew sooner.
Yeah. Well, I think the title and thumbnail works together hand in hand. I wouldn't say the thumbnail is number one or the title is number one. I think they kind of work together. I feel like the combination of these two make me feel like, am I missing something I don't know? That's why I clicked. And then the way her thumbnail is put there, I like that it's not really edited. I think this is her living room or something, but she knows how to put in the plants and stuff like that to make it look very aesthetically pleasing, which fits her branding. And then the text, again, it doesn't repeat what it says on the title. So I think a combination of all this works. And then her pose makes her seem like she's an authority, like she knows what she's talking about. And she has a secret that I don't know. Therefore, that's the reason I clicked.
Yeah, I think that last part was interesting that you said, because if you look at it, she's looking away, but she's also looking like she's your friend just telling you the secret. Yeah. And also the fact that she's sitting at home, it makes you feel more friendly. So you don't really feel like you're about to be clickbaited, because a lot of this content that we see on YouTube is sort of clickbaity. Oh, this is the thing that will blow up your channel, or this is the thing that will get viral views. But when it's just this person who's in her home looking away in this pose talking about this, she can put a bold title that says the secret to content creation, I wish I knew sooner, and you won't really feel like you're about to get clickbaited. Whereas if the thumbnail looked a little different, then you might not even click because you think, it's a scammy video. So I think this was very geniusly done. Whether she meant to do it on purpose or not, I don't know, but the combination was really interesting.
Executed. I think you bring out a good point there. So there's a lot of people, especially in the how to make money online kind of niche. I think a lot of them, they hire YouTube agencies, and then the YouTube agencies hires retention editors. They have this home studio office, kind of like this. this, and then they have the fancy mic and then the lights and the RGB lights and everything. And then they edit the crap out of it. So I think the first couple of guys who did it it looks interesting, but now everybody wants to copy the same thing, right? So the issue with that is that some clients, they even go to me like, hey, I want this type of editing. And I'm like, no, you don't. Because why would you want to blend in? The whole point of the video is that you want to be unique. You want to be different. That's the whole point, right? You don't want, in my opinion, you don't want to blend in. You shouldn't blend in because people are going online. They want to look who they want to work with, who they can trust. So if you look too similar to other people, then they can't remember you.
It's the harsh reality of creating content on YouTube is that you could invest so much in editing, but it's sort of making up for the fact that in comparison, other people could just talk to a camera and feel like, their friend is talking to. It's an interesting point. Yeah. We can move on to the next one. Diary of a CEO. Cool.
So on this channel, they have a specific branding. So all of their thumbnails, the branding, their graphic branding is all black. Their thing, contrasting white text. So what I think does well for this channel is because they put the face of a famous person on there. So I don't know who this person is, right? So I think in this case, I look at the thumbnail first, and then the fact that there's some guy's face in, I don't know who this person is, but the fact that he's older indicates that he's somewhat of authority. Somebody is interviewing him. So I'm curious, okay, you don't need 8 hours sleep. Okay, so this is a sleeping professor. But in this case, I know this channel has all the famous people, but this particular person is not that famous.
I think this is a good time to have the discussion on the fact that some channels do unfortunately have unfair advantages. His titles don't really follow the guidelines when it comes to YouTube titles of being easily readable and mobile that don't get cut off. My assumption is that since the Diary of a CEO podcast is so big, is that these titles are created for SEO optimization. In the sense, people are going to be looking up these keywords, and that the thumbnail is doing really a lot of the heavy lifting, in my opinion. Yes, Harvard professor is there, but I think if you look at a lot of his thumbnails, it really invokes an emotion, whether positive or negative, in you.
Yeah, speaking of titles, I think the biggest effective keyword, in my opinion, as a human, not as an algorithm guy, is the Harvard professor. Just having that kind of, as I told you, I look at this, I'm like, oh, this guy's on this channel, therefore he must be an authority. So to me, that's the flow of how I would look at this and if I want to click on it or not. And then the rest is the long title. To me, doesn't really do anything for me. But the Harvard professor, that's the keyword that really got me.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, we can move on to the Mr. Beast thing. There's a lot of thumbnails to go over here. I just want to sort of understand what your thought process is on Mr. Beast's thumbnails. Something that I noticed with his thumbnails are that there's really only like 2 to 3 main things. It's really simple for everybody to understand.
Yeah.
That's also because of his target audience is younger, aiming for a wide global audience, people that might not even speak English. So he doesn't really have much text. If it is, it's usually words that people can understand, numbers that people can understand.
One thing that I noticed about him, he did mention this one time that back in the day, he has all of his thumbnail with his expression with his mouth open, like the goldfish expression, they call it. And then he did a A/B test, one with him with his mouth open and the other one with his mouth not open like that, but at least smiling. So he figured that, okay, you know what, with the one with me seeing the teeth actually does better. And that's why you see the recent one here, he doesn't have his mouth open anymore, which is quite interesting.
The fact that every video is sort of like a spectacle for him, he's sort of needing to portray this in the thumbnail and the title before you even click on it because he has such a big audience. Everyone sort of knows who he is. Sure, there's some people that are watching it for the first time, but even those people, when they see the thumbnail and title, they sort of realize, okay, this guy makes videos that are big spectacles and that has to come across in the video. But then when you compare it to Life of Rizza videos, it's like almost a complete opposite 180 shift because it's very filmic, it's very organic. When you click on the video, you're expecting a filmic, organic, raw video, and that probably also impacts the viewer retention.
Like what you say, this thumbnail is very like animated and stuff like that. So when people click here, they expect that same level of energy throughout the video.
Correct.
So it's like managing the expectations. The other thing that I think he does really well is color combination. So if you notice, I built 100 wells in Africa. So that's a deliberate choice where he picked the watercolor to be that specific turquoise and then his jacket to be that orange. Something needs to pop up from there. So he executed that very well. Another one that he did well is probably the puppy one there. So that idea, I mean, who doesn't love puppies, right? So the idea itself, the picture of the cute puppies, that's already working. But if you notice, his shirt is also that satin blue. And I'm pretty sure if you go to the color wheel, you pick out the color of the puppies, what's the opposite color of that brown? It's probably one of these blue. So I think all of this is deliberate. I spent 7 days buried alive, but the text is day 5. So it makes you feel like, oh, what's going to happen day 6 and day 7?
Yeah. And what also happens on day 5, right? It looks like it's coming out on day 5.
Yeah.
And it is hyperbole. You sort of know that that's probably not, gonna happen in the video. And it is clickbait in a sense, but I guess people are sort of okay with that, with these kinds of videos being somewhat clickbaited. So you could stretch the truth a little bit here and there, depending on how you end up delivering the video at the end. Yeah, that's all I got. Where can people find you? I'll leave links in the description.
You guys can check out my channel. It's called Helmi YouTube Funnels. So I share my journey growing YouTube, but on the perspective of a business owner rather than a content creator. So if, some people like they sell their services and whatnot, so they want to have a channel around their services rather than relying on ads, you can check out my channel. And I'm also the most active on Twitter.